Well, I said I didn't see how it was possible that USC, I said I think they're going to lose 3 games. I don't know who they're to, but you're asking too. I watched Pete Carroll go 6-6 in his first year. It's hard to turn around a program. Well, Lincoln Riley's done it. They're 9-1. They're a play on the road in not the greatest officiated game, just my opinion. From being undefeated, they play UCLA in what will be one of the smartest offensive games of the year between Chip and Lincoln. Let me just start with this. Caleb, before the season started, I asked somebody who I trust dearly, NFL background. I said, what do you think of Caleb Williams? I said, I just watched a little bit at Oklahoma. He goes, you are going to just not believe it. And I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm not even going to give it away. So if somebody had never seen Caleb Williams and you had to describe him in a minute about what makes him special, go for it.
A really, really unique skill set. Everybody kind of talks about the athletic guys and what they can do, and he has a cool athletic skill set, the way that he can move, break tackles, his threat as a runner, but you combine that with an arm that is and a vision for the game that's really, really unique, especially for a guy his age. You see touch throws, you see the bombs down the field, you see kind of layered passes in the middle of the defense. I mean, he really can, from a skill set wise, do it all, change arm angles. And then he's got a cool intangible side to him too. He's a good leader. He's a competitor. He's done a good job here early on our time here at SC, helping bring this roster together and really being a leader that way. So, no, it's fun. It's been fun to see the guy's progress. I mean, he obviously did a really nice job for us in year one there at Oklahoma in the back half of the year, but he's certainly playing at a much higher level right now.
Well, Baker, Kyler, Jalen Hurts, you all got him in the Heisman race. Caleb, in my opinion, is as talented as any of those. Now, Travis Dye, a little bit of the heart and soul. I think just a grown-up, had been around the conference. Players, he got hurt, and his backup running back is like crying. It's like they loved him. Are you concerned? I think you'll be productive in the run game, but are you concerned his spirit, his pass blocking? He did a lot of little things you see, but a lot of fans may not. Or how concerned are you about that loss?
Yeah, Travis still is in a lot of ways the heartbeat of this team. I mean, so much of our energy and competitiveness, came from him and will still come from him, just in a different way. He brought a mentality to the practice field, the way he competed every day, that really had a big impact on this program, especially here in year one and being so early. So you're right. We've got some other good players that we think will be ready to go produce. We certainly expect them to, but you don't replace Travis Dye, all he brought to the team, all he did on the field, off the field. I mean, he was certainly one of our most valuable players, and obviously wish him a speedy recovery. And our guys, they want to honor him. They want to, show him their respect and love. Then they need to go play the game the way he did. And if we do that, we'll be okay.
Yeah, I was. I think the last time I talked to you, I said, this transfer portal is going to be fine, but you're like, you brought on a third of another team. I'm like, personalities, different cultures. And I'm like, this is a lot of moving parts. And yet this is the closest team I've ever seen at USC. When a kid drops a ball, he'll go to the sideline, kids rally around him. It's been a very rewarding season. Has it been one of the more challenging seasons because you have different players, schemes, programs? Some of these kids are from the East, the South, the North. Has it been challenging, the portal and bringing it all together?
Honestly, Colin, it was challenging to bring it all together, to get all the people here, to get them settled, to make those choices on who you were going to bring in. And then in the beginning to kind of implement it all and put everybody on the same page. But this season, I think a lot of good teams, you don't have those headaches, right? The players, they handle a lot of the things internally. There's not a lot of dissension in the locker room. There's not a lot of selfish guys in the locker room. It's very team first. And I've felt that the whole way. In some ways, the season's been easier than a few that I've been through the years, just because of how well this team has got along and the camaraderie, and I think how much they all want to win for each other. We certainly have a lot of guys with individual goals, and we want them to have that. But I do think this team very much believes in the team concept. You can see it with the way we've played and the way we have come together on such short notice. Listen,
you can't solve all your issues in one off season. You and Brian Kelly at LSU have gotten darn close, but it's a competitive battlefield out there recruiting. So teams have been able to run against you. Now you face UCLA, and as clever as you are offensively, Chip is really smart, and his run games are just a pain to defend. And that's been a little bit of a liability for you. Do you have to take more chances defensively? How do you get them off the field? I mean, the way to beat USC to me would be get Caleb Williams off the field. Like, are you concerned about that run game and some limitations defensively you could accomplish?
Yeah, it'll be a big part of the game. I mean, Chip has always done a tremendous job offensively, and he's got several guys obviously that have played a lot of ball for him. Clearly, Charbonnet and DTR have played a lot of ball. They're both very productive players. They've got a good offensive line, good skill around them. And so that's a challenge. And I think the thing you got to do is you've got to make sure and be very disciplined in the way you play, because they're going to throw a lot of different looks at you and try to get you off your game. And then you got to finish the plays, right? That's one thing that shows up with these guys. They're good enough players that a lot of times people are there and they still don't get them down. So we've got to be able to get guys on the ground. We've got to be able to finish plays. And then the flip side is when we get a chance to make those big plays defensively of our own, we got to go make them and put that back on them.
You've been in a lot of big games. Red River Shootout, Bedlam. Those are big games. Rivalry games. I was talking one time, Peyton Manning said this. He said you have an NFL regular season game, then you have division games, and then you have playoff games. He goes, they all feel different. So, I mean, the battle for Los Angeles, you've been in some of these games. As a coach, I can see a young coach overcoaching, overthinking. Do you enter a rivalry game? Is there anything, do you have to, for instance, young players? A lot of these guys played against each other in high school. Is it a different approach playing UCLA this week?
I don't know if it's a different approach, but I think you have to identify with the guys and everybody's understand it is going to feel different. You're right. These games, they are different. There is, and then when you add in obviously all the opportunities on the back end of this game, sure. I mean, it's the atmosphere is going to feel different. The excitement's going to feel different. These are games, especially for guys here on the West Coast, that they've been watching, all their lives, and now that they get a chance to participate in it. So I think we certainly realize that and understand that, but then it goes back to, okay, it's going to feel different. Now, what do we have to do to go play well in this game? And that comes down to the plan that you lay out for them as coaches. And then players, they have to take that plan, believe in it, go into an environment and an atmosphere like that, and go put it on display the entire game for 4 full quarters and longer if needed. And that's the mentality. So this will be the first one of these that we've been in together. We're going to lay out a plan for our guys, and hopefully they approach it as well as they have most of the other challenges this season.
The one part that you inherited that's pretty interesting, I always thought last couple of years USC's O-line was a little underrated, and you said very early when you took the program over, you said we don't really have to rebuild that part. There's players here. I just saw something yesterday. It's the number 1 rated offensive line in the country, or 1 or 2. Is that, if I said to you, is there a pleasant surprise in this job? Because you had to rebuild it. Would it be the O-line?
Right. That's fair to say. It's definitely one of them. You had guys, you could tell when we got in here, even early on that O-line, that wanted to win, that wanted to do it the right way. You could tell that would be building blocks, not just for the O-line, but the entire team, right? These are the kind of guys from a cultural standpoint that we want to have. And it was cool to have that from the beginning.
Yeah.
We can build it around these guys. And obviously that position being so critical really worked out in our favor. So it's a great group. We've got some guys that played a lot of ball that this place means the world to. Josh Henson, our O-line coach, has done a tremendous job with them, and they've played at a high level really the entire year. Okay,
so you basically put together a recruiting class on hope and optimism. Now you've got a lot of wins. I mean, you've had over 500 yards, I think, in 4 straight. Let me see. Look at the line here. 40-plus points and 500-plus total yards in the last month every game. So now when you go recruit, and we told you what it was going to look like. Here's what it looks like. Are you noticing, Lincoln, inroads nationally, regionally? Are you sensing the ascension of what your game plan was for that?
We absolutely are. You're right. It's the guys that jumped on here early on had to do it with kind of the idea of USC being good. Obviously USC's been good for a long time, but here in recent years, they hadn't seen that. And so they had to believe in, what we were bringing in, the staff, this kind of new era. And I'm glad now that all those recruits out there are able to see the trajectory of this, because I think it is real, and it's very real what this place has been and what it can be again. And we think it's well on its way to doing that. And so it is. It's being able to recruit once you have some of that proof, and once you have that proof of concept, is so much easier, because you can say, look, all right, here's what happened. Here's a trajectory. Put yourself in that position. What does that look like, and how far can we take this? And it's fun to think about. Obviously, there's a lot going on right now, a lot of great opportunities for this team. But when you look at the future, it's hard not to be pretty excited.
Yeah. It's interesting when I watch your teams. You really, not just to suck up here, but I was telling a friend is that I can see your coaching. I can see your coaching. I'll be like, oh, that's really clever. Oh, I like what he's doing here. There was a couple things you did at the Arizona game, and I was like, with a buddy, I'm like, they know. It's funny, the feeling out process to football. I sometimes watch you, and I can sense your game plan, but you do a lot of stuff half to half. I see an impact in that. What's your favorite part from whistle to whistle? What is your favorite part on Saturday?
That's a good question. Probably the close games, like the tight moments, especially like the fourth quarter, when teams are tired. You've played a lot of reps. It's been a battle, and like now it's going to all be decided, right here in this moment. And there's nowhere to hide. And I think that competition, both the players on the field, the coaches making the best decisions they can, getting in those late game 2-minute scenarios. I think that's the best. I mean, I love all parts of it. I've always loved the competition that great college football provides. And but the end of games and having to really rally and finish as a team, especially on the road, there's nothing better.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy those. I don't like the close games, to be honest with you. I don't like them at all. I really don't at all. I'm glad you're having the time of your life, because I'm on the couch not having the time of my life watching those things. Lincoln, congratulations, 9-1, UCLA, the game of the day in college football. So much fun to watch, and what a pleasure. Thanks for stopping by, Coach. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.